Yo, it is your truly, Lamore Decina, aka Mr. Kool Spot, in here today with my lovely co-host, Sharita Freeman. How you doing, love?
Hey, how you doing, Lima? What's going on?
Man, I'm good, man. Good. You know, mom's in town, and we've been kicking it all weekend. So, me and her been hanging out since yesterday, and we were just kind of. She was like, "Well, hey, I was going to go home last night because I'm in Selma right now at my brother's house,"
Mhm.
and she was like, "Well, what you going home for? You're just gonna be sitting at the house by yourself. You might as well just go ahead and just spend a night." And I'm like, I mean, yeah, you know what I mean?
You were
Yeah,
okay.
right. Like, yeah, you're right. But so I've been here since yesterday, man. We've been ripping around in today, all yesterday. Been rolling, man. Did a photo shoot with her and my daughter, and yesterday, and it was really really good. Got a lot of laughs in, man. And I can honestly
Good.
say, yeah, I can honestly say I think my mom is probably one of the greatest orators that I know. You know what I'm saying? And
Okay.
she's really really. She's really, really animated when it comes to the storytelling, and it's
Mm.
hilarious to see at her age now how she's still witty and can tell a story, hit all the
Mhm.
points and finish the story actually. So,
Okay. Good to eat.
yeah. So she's funny, man. It's good stuff though. It's good stuff. How's your week been? How you been?
You know what? It has been busy, crazy, and busy, crazy, and cool. Let's say that.
Mhm.
I had a run in with a baby copperhead at my desk at work. So
Yeah, you
that was
told me.
the part.
Hmm.
Anybody that knows me, they know I'm anti rodents, snakes, spiders, insects. I'm cool with it. So,
Right,
that fight or flight syndrome. You know what I'm saying? I was booking it through a whole building. Y'all know me,
right.
but I was gone. So nonetheless, it got out and all is well. But yeah, it's been cool. My daughter's birthday is Tuesday, so trying to plan a
Nice.
surprise party while she's in my presence has been
Hmm.
really interesting. Uncle
Nice
Limo
surprise.
there
Right.
almost, told the child what was going on.
I know, right? So let me shut up. Let me shut up.
Like, okay. But the secret is still out. She doesn't know. But just being
Right.
able to, show her, you still can have a good time regardless of if it's a million people there or not.
Hmm.
And we went to the movies today, Lemoyne, and we were the only people in there. We had the
Oh
whole
wow.
to ourselves. It was amazing.
Nice.
So
Nice.
it was so cool. So it's been good. It's been a productive week.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's
Productive.
awesome. Yeah, that's awesome, man. So yeah, man, I wanted to throw something out there before we get started. For
What's
those
up?
that do not know, today, October 31st, 2020, makes
Hmm.
19 years of me being drug free.
Wow.
My transition from the street life, and just getting life together. You know what I mean? Really learning how to journey and get myself together for life and for family's sake. Building inheritance.
Mm.
I was in the street life. I was doing the street life as a youth and ran with a Haitian gang back in Florida called Zopound. And for anybody that knows that, you guys know my backdrop, my story. And for
Hmm.
those that don't know, yeah, I was a Haitian gang member back in Florida in my teens. And shout out to all of my brothers that's still living, that's still pushing, that's still striving for greatness. You know what I mean? We're getting older now, so life has changed. But now, man, the high speed chase with the police, the selling drugs, the breaking in houses and breaking in cars, the robberies, just a lot of different things. I did it, and the things that I'm really appreciative of is, which would be kind of crazy to say, I had to be incarcerated in order to slow down, right?
Mm.
So I did 11 months for something that I didn't do. And I did 11 months for something that I didn't do, and it ended up had taken away the first 11 months, the first year actually of my daughter's birth after she was born. You know what I mean? The
Mm.
first year of her birth. So when I got out of jail, I ended up beating the charges out. My charges were something like armed robbery with a deadly weapon, possession of firearm, grand theft. What was the other one? Fleeing, eluding, it was a bunch of stuff. You know what I'm saying? And I was looking at, man, I was looking at, I don't know, I think 15 years for something that I didn't even do. Yeah. So, you know, that was back 19 years ago. 19 years ago. And I'm just grateful that I'm able to see a way out and to better myself and also set up a pathway for my kids' sake that will better their situations, you know, and that way they don't have to experience the same things that I had to experience, you know. So they all loud. Can you hear that? You hear that, right, Kim?
I won't cut out the door and be like,
I mean, you know, yeah. Masu, she know that. She just seen me talking. Yeah. You know, it's all right. It's all right. You know, I'm lying my pilot. So
told you.
So again, I'm at my family house right now in Selma, North Carolina, and my mom's visiting. So yeah, we're kicking it over here for the weekend. Yeah. It's all good. It's all good. So but now
so 19 years.
19 years free, 19 years drug free, no weed smoke, no none of that dumb stuff. I mean, I had my drinks from time to time, you know, and from time to time I like wine. So now I do have some wine from time to time at this point in life, but I don't do a lot of the hard liquors anymore, the clubbing, the nightlife. You know, I may go smash a open mic or, you know what I'm saying, something like that.
I thought you were going when you said the words.
I know it didn't sound right. Did it?
Wait a minute. What are you talking about?
Yeah. But no. I mean, I may go to an open mic, you know what I'm saying? Just because of the arts, go out there, network, share some pieces. You know, we're still an artist too. So I love to get out there, network, and connect with people as well. So but now, man, yeah, man, shout out to, how do you say that? Faishali. Sally out there in Uganda, shout out Wagwan brethren, shout Wagwan. So yeah, man, but I don't know, man. I think today's been a good day. It's really been a good day, really good day. Good day to reflect and get my mind in check, man. Do some perspecting. You know what I mean? So yeah, let's get into this though, Free, because last week we were talking about the power of sex.
We were.
Yeah. So some of the things that we talked about last week, just to kind of give you guys a recap, and then we're going to go into a second poetry piece that Free didn't get a chance to do last week, which I've really, if you guys missed the first one, you got to go back and check out the first one. You know, powerful, because we are still in what's this month? October.
Domestic violence month. Domestic violence hotline. That's why you've seen it scrolling the entire time.
Yeah.
It is something real. It is something that a lot of times we think of extreme cases, and abuse is abuse, and it is considered domestic violence. So please get help. Call the number, use resources, tag a friend. If you need help, say something to somebody, okay?
Yeah. Yep. That's it, man. So if you guys missed last week's episode, go back and check that out again. Phenomenal build. Just doing a quick recap, and then we'll go into the poetry piece. Some of the things that we talked about last year. I asked the questions, 3 topic questions that we discussed primarily. The top 3 questions that we were discussing was, what are the emotional ramifications that comes with sex? The second one was, how would life look if sex was controlled, right? The third one was, what is the difference between sex and love? This was a really good build. If y'all missed it, I promise y'all need to go back and check it out. You know, recap. One of my claims, the biggest claim that I made, the first claim that I made at the beginning of our podcast was the miseducation of sex that has been placed in the Black community, which is causing what I believe our biggest downfall. You know, why do I say that? Well, then I got to slide down here to my 5 reasons that I have to address, right? You can't make a claim without actually addressing the claim. So this is how I address the claim through this talk. The first thing that we addressed out of the 5 was the inability to complete what we've started. Right? We're talking about sex transmutation. So the energy that comes from having sex, or the pursuit of sex, channeling that energy into something productive, right? So boom. So the first thing was the inability to complete what we've started. The second thing was uncontrolled aggression. Since we are in Domestic Violence Awareness Month, we definitely wanted to make some highlights on that. The third thing was a lack of ambition. The fourth thing is failed marriages and relationships. The fifth thing, the lack of spirituality. You know what I mean? So, man, when I say that we went in and we built on this thing, and you know, it was a phenomenal build. And again, if you guys have not went back and checked that out, you missing out on a lot. And hopefully we can touch on some of those old points from last week. We'll just see how this flows today. You know? Is it too loud? Is it too noisy on my end, Free?
I can hear background, but it's not too loud.
It's not too. Is it overpowering me? It's not overpowering me. Okay, cool. All right, cool. So at this point, let's go ahead and move forward. Free, you ready to share that piece?
I am. Hold on 1 second. I'm gonna move this off this screen real quick, y'all.
Oh yeah.
All right. So, as y'all know, my name is Sprinkle Poet, Sharita. And so I'm gonna do this poem called Sweet Lust. Okay. Dearest Diary. See, somehow I don't even know what to write. See, I tried to see which lunar eclipse came that caused French kisses to eyelids with fists, mouth closed while stargazing, moon gazing. I spent too much time justifying your how in the darkness that I didn't realize the depth of your bark. The of your eyes deception. More than the of your paw against my skin. Darkness now held duplicate meanings, and I no longer welcomed its embrace, but feared its allegiance. See, it was Soraka 2020. I'm a savage, yeah, classy, bougie, ratchet, sassy, moody, nasty, acting stupid. What's happening? No, bitch, what's happening? You're a savage. Your attitude's nasty, and you're definitely not classy, but you're ratchet. So now watch me lay you in this casket. Hands adorn throats, air escape my lungs. See, blistered esophagus becomes bruised ribs, numb lips, and he left my remain on floor. This became entryway to our once humble dwelling. Love making turns into my fears, tears mopping up hardwood floors. Palms became splintered with thoughts physically manifested. And he'd apologize. He'd even place me in tub afterwards, placing ice pack on swollen black eyes in attempts to reduce swelling. And he'd even play Anita Baker. Sweet love, have you calling out your name? I feel no shame. I'm in love. Sweet love, don't you ever go away. It'll always be this way. See, I guess even Anita tried to warn me. And then he continued and he called me his sweet thing, even tell me that I was his pride and joy. That was until he disapproved of my wardrobe and he slid my ass across kitchen countertop, dragged me around tables and wiped me with the floor. See, somewhere love became longing, overdue, vengeful, egocentric hate, hallucinate, abandoned, tagnum, enigma. See, I kept lying to myself. I kept telling myself that my heart could heal your wounds that festered within. See, I even pledged allegiance to the eradication of the staph infection that laid on your soul. Yet I ignored its infectious nature until you attempted to evoke premature rigor mortis as you let bullets riddle this being that I once called home. White plush carpet became crimson blemished. Coughs became shallow. Mistrust oozed. Reflection as fluid stained carpet. See, I was beneath being demure. I was but a shell of a woman, codependent upon his instruction for his approval, isolated and frightful, and now I must choose. For life is in the balance. And I heard sirens in the distance, and I could just hear grandma singing that there's a leak in this old building, oh, and my soul has got to move my soul. See, they always say that God was the giver of second chances. See, love should never equate to physical and mental torture. See, it was 6 blood transfusions, 3 surgeries, and 1 sorry ass goodbye that equated to my new freedom. See, the scars adorning flesh are proof that I'm still here and standing. The lesson in the stress is before bridging gaps for another, you must truly love yourself first. For you aren't barbaric, you're classy, you're worthy of respect. And when we fall in love again, we will be sure that whoever we choose is more than a friend. But remember that at your best or at your worst, you're still loved, even if it's by self, and that's enough. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Come on now. Yeah, man. It's so fire, man. And you guys forgive us because we didn't give you guys a disclaimer
at
the beginning.
I'm sorry, y'all.
Yeah, no, it's good. You're good. That wasn't as graphic as the first one that you gave last week. So, but there will be some trigger warnings that we have to actually put out. There is a trigger warning that we actually have to put forth in this podcast to let you guys know, like, if you've dealt with some of this stuff, again, don't want you guys to go into a relapse. Our intention here is two things. The first thing is hopefully to try to encourage and inspire you guys. You know what I'm saying? To possibly even help you guys get over some of this trauma. If not, then we definitely have some sources free. Have the domestic violence hotline at the bottom of the screen, and there's ways to find help. You know, and I said it last year. If you're not where you want to be mentally, it has to start there, right? Sometimes you can be numb to what's mental and completely go off of what you feel physically, but it has to start here. Once you realize where you're not internally from here, then I think it's something that's enough to question. Well, do I need help? Am I responding out of a place of hurt? Am I coming from, do I have this level of aggression that's been pent up that's causing people around me to suffer? So stuff like that matters. And we had to take account to our actions towards other people and ourselves. So forgive yourself, forgive the people around you, forgive the situation, and you got to forgive the person. You know what I'm saying? But in order to get into that, we'll get to that like we did last week. We talked about the
traumas.
Yeah.
Heal the traumas and finding out where to get help, what to do. And because it's all a process, especially with domestic violence. It could just be emotional abuse. And you can be in such a low place that you're not even aware that you're dealing with abuse. Or the threats of the physical, even if it never becomes physical, does not take away from it being abuse.
Right.
So even abuse to kids. Sometimes parents don't understand that we can be emotionally abusive to our kids.
Yep.
So we got to really think about those things and work to be better, to do better, and to really be mentally strong. So.
Yep. Absolutely. All right, so let's get into this, man.
Let's get into it. Let's talk about Sorry, my whole computer is moving.
Let's not get too excited like we about to just broadcast. Yeah, let's go have some orgies. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about my brother shaking, he rubbing his hands together. We're talking about D block.
Wow, you know what transmuting energy is, okay?
Yeah, so
okay. Transmuting energy.
Yeah, go ahead, help me out.
Of energy and bending or changing or transmuting it in order to achieve or attain something greater than what had originally been intended. Yeah. And so the conversation was not actually the sex itself, but in that energy, right? Because we have been doing some research, and by no way are we professionals.
Right,
we just okay.
Right.
So fact check everything we say. We're all about facts first, emotion second. Let's but that learning how to use that energy when your body thinks of the initial reactions to sex, right? Your body has this higher level of energy, and it wants to get it out.
Right.
And this sex is something it knows. It's like, oh, we could do this.
Right.
Use that energy to do something else with it.
Right.
So we'll pick up from here so we can guide the conversation. But that's what we're talking about. And that's why it's important to know how to use what we have effectively and efficiently.
Yeah. And just to piggyback off of that, just so we can, finish that thought. So this was some of the things we talked about last week. The mind is a problem solving machine, right? Mm-hmm. So what it means is whatever vacancy the mind has, it has to be occupied with something, right? I want you guys to get that in your head, right? So if there's fear in the mind, right, and there's parts of the brain that you're not utilizing because there's so much that we could be doing on a daily basis, but a lot of people limit themselves with how much energy that they put out. So if you're not preoccupied being productive, then the vacancy that's there has to be occupied with something. So if it's fear, then guess what's manifesting in your head? You know what I mean? If it's success, if it's your goals, if it's completing objectives, guess what's going to manifest through the head? So the mind by default is a machine that tends to solve problems, right? So check this out. We think of it like a stream, or river, or stream, right? And just like sexual energy, it's a form of energy that can't lay dormant, and it has to be occupied by something, right? So the moment a person conceives a thought to the time that they take action is called that refractory period, right? We talked about that last week, right? So if I see somebody that I like, and I was sharing this with my sister Key last night, if I see something that I like and I find like an interest in that thing, by default, my mind's gonna take a snapshot of that. You know what I'm saying? Because there's some interest that's taken, right? So by default, mine's gonna take a snapshot. Boom, that's how memories are formed, right? So after the memory is formed, if I feel internally like, yo, this could be something that could benefit me or complement what I'm doing, or something that's going to fulfill me, automatically the mind gets to turning and it begins to try to figure out ways to solve those problems. You know what I mean? So if we tap into that, not the process of pursuing and chasing, but understanding the process so we could actually pursue and chase our personal goals, our ambitions, and our dreams. That's what the whole understanding of transmutating energy comes from, is taking that sexual drive, which is the highest drive that a man, any human being could have, taking that sexual drive and transmuting it into something productive, right? So, and with that, here are a few things that we can just throw in the air real quick. With that, you'll find yourself increasing your depth, the depth of your thought process.
The depth.
Right? Depth. What did I say? Depths.
The depth.
I was stuttering. Depths of your thought processes, right? Higher frequencies and a higher level of imagination, right? You have more courage, more strength. Like you have a higher, it actually increases your IQ at the same time, your hair quality, your muscle quality. It does a lot. So like I threw this in the air with free. If you want to find the best in the person, right? If you want to find the best in the person, or if you want to find the best in yourself, watch your processes as you're pursuing relationship or a person that you actually like, right? Because everything I just named here, mentally we go through those processes. Right. So our thought process increases. Right. If I got imagination, I'm like, yo, this gonna completely mind get turning, begin to try to fill those voids. IQ increases. Hey, how could I get this attention? How could I get the attention of this chick, man, I seen the other day? Or how could I get the attention of this young man I seen? You know what I mean? You know, what does my frequency feel like? How do I gauge that? You know, I don't want to give off the wrong energy. Right. We go through those processes. Right. Our courage. When is a good time to do so? How should I step to this person? Do I have enough strength and courage to do that? You know what I mean? So like all of those things play a factor in our pursuit and fulfilling that sexual encounter. Because I mean, let's be honest, majority of the people aren't just looking for just a companionship. In this day and age, a lot of people are chasing after that tail. You know what I mean? So I think that's the thing that we got to be mindful of, is instead of chasing the tail, we translate that into chasing the bag, right? That's what we're doing nowadays, right? We're chasing that bag. And if you want to understand a better understanding of what that looks like, then this is it. This is how you chase the bag instead of chasing that tail. You know? So just want to throw that in the air. What are your thoughts? For you think?
I mean, I agree with you. I think it was Napoleon Hill.
The
one that he has this whole excerpt about sexual energy, the mystery of sex.
The mystery of sex.
And with that being stated, when you think about, I was giving the example that it gave in the book, and it was talking about a salesperson, right? And every salesperson, you know, first you're going to look at them first, right? And so they're generally going to be dressed to the T, because that's half the battle. And then they generally have these really, you know, likable personalities, because essentially the first thought process is the attraction to them. And a lot of times that goes further to say, some people that sell, they might touch your hand, or they want to shake your hand, and transferring that type of energy, right? They're grabbing your attention. They're working to get to kind of see what you're saying. They're reading between the lines.
Right.
And so it even talked about how they use that buildup of sexual energy to push their thought processes. So when you're able to harness that correctly, right, you're able to be more productive. And it even talks about the mind that you access different portions of thought. And even down to like some of the scientists, they would go in a room, they would listen to something, and they would wait for the idea to come.
Right.
Refute, like they would literally force themselves to get away from everything, right?
Yeah.
When they use that energy, when they wanted to harness it, they would literally force themselves to be sometimes like in a room by themselves with just them and paper until those processes came. And so it becomes a thing of having self-control.
Right.
Control you or your body.
Yep.
So when your mind is truly in control, then you can tell your body, okay, I have this thought, but this is not what we're going to do. We're working through our loins, right? Through our loins telling us, now this is what we're going to do. So I think it becomes a thought process of, are we working in our lower self or our higher self?
Right.
And Mr. Kool Spot over there, he trying to tell me myself sometimes. He be like, look, Rich, okay. Are we acting on our lower self or our higher self? And it's because once you know your worth, right, then you shouldn't be going back to the same scenarios.
Right.
You shouldn't be looking back. Okay. You're supposed to be fixing that backwards. And you know that you have purpose. Okay. So when you have those things and you know those things, then it's just like, okay, then let's use this differently. Let's transmutate this energy differently. Those that have ADHD and ADD, it's not a bad thing. You just have
not a bad thing.
I tell them sometimes my mind's so busy. He be like, learn how to direct it. It's a beautiful thing. You already have the drive that some people don't have.
Yeah.
So allow it to overwhelm you, but learn how to work through it so that you can direct it and be more productive. So I think that sometimes, even down to social media, right? I think that this is my personal thing, and you know what I'm saying, maybe I'm a baby conspiracy theorist, but I feel like social media's purpose is to be a distraction, a full distraction. Because once you're overloaded with information, especially if you're an empathetic person, now at that point in time, I'm not just thinking about me and what I have going on. I'm thinking about, well, my friends got A, B, C, and D going on. Is this is going on? So now at this point, I can't focus on what I have going on solely because I'm accepting everybody else's stuff in it. So now I'm in baggage that person don't even know what I'm thinking about.
Right.
So how can I fully be productive in what I need to do if every 5 minutes I'm scrolling on my phone?
Yeah.
Well, that we swiping right and we swiping left because we on these dating apps and we want to meet somebody and we're like, all that stuff weighs. And so it's about learning how to allow yourself not to be as distracted.
Right.
Sex is one of the biggest distractions because sex is on TV shows, sex is
everywhere.
Sex is in the social media. I mean, it's 90% of what you see is based on sexual attraction or a mental reaction to what you see.
Right.
So you can decide what you're going to allow in. You can put out what you desire to put out.
Right. Absolutely. And systematically, let's just say that we all had these major distractions, like you pointed out earlier. Like we have social media, you have politics, you have the news, you have the economy, we have our personal lives, we have, our economy in our in-house economy. Right. We have our workload, family bills. We got so much that's going on in the day, so many different types of distractions. Right. Like by the end of the day, we don't have any energy to put out to anything else. It's a system. It's a rat race. You know what I mean? So if this becomes our norm, then how do we actually tap into what we're talking about now with this sex transmutation of energy? You know what I mean? And I think that even if you're going back to the Napoleon Hill, what I sent you, what we've been studying and everything, it talks about how all of the major inventors, they use the same concept to invent they come up with their inventions, so whether it came from a female that they were looking to impress or they actually put in place so they can use to channel that energy and build that energy up. right? And we're gonna talk about some stuff dealing with like I'm gonna get into something right after this, but I'm gonna let you go first, and then we're gonna come back on this. But there's a buildup that has to take place, and I'm gonna talk about the science of sperm and semen and stuff like that. We're gonna talk a little bit about that here too tonight, or today. And but they use this idea so they can actually be the most productive, be the most creative, lock themselves in a room and away from everybody. So we can just solely lay out the objectives and not and refuse to depart from that location until all of their objectives are complete. I talked about last week how there's leverage between women and men, how women have a better leverage than men when it comes to transmutating this energy naturally, right? Based off of society. So society has a thing right now where, well, for the longest, where it says, well, women aren't supposed to chase, right? Men are supposed to approach the woman, and I agree. I totally agree with that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not taking away from it, but it says the women aren't the ones that's supposed to chase. The men are the ones that's supposed to chase, and the woman's supposed to be a lady, and going down the line, So what we don't realize in that is how by default, because men are the ones that are chasing, the chances of between the male and the female being highly sexual or being active in those, cases of being sexual, men actually have, I would say men probably have more sex than women by default. What do you think?
Now, this was 1990, possibly.
In the 90s, possibly. You don't think so now?
We in the 2020.
So things change, huh?
I think.
So who has sex first? Then let's use that. Then who would you say have sex more first? I guess is a question that we can ask.
Realistically, I can't answer because so many little boys are molested by babysitters, and they think it's cool. They're like, "Oh, I lost my virginity at 8 and 9." What the hell is wrong? So because that's so many people's story. I don't want to say women, but I think that when I think about growing up and I think about school and the older guys or the people that would be trying to force these young girls, a lot of times 14 is like, how old are you? They're like 19, 20, 21. So on a consistent basis, I would say women. And I would say because generally people that we tend to deal with are older. I think not that guys don't, but I think they generally stay in their age bracket.
Right.
But I think that previously that was a thought process and the build up is that men chase, right?
Right.
2012 forward, that has been flipped.
Yeah.
And like, just like our brother DL said, like if you want to come get
me. Yeah.
So many people, because the dating apps have made it so free for all. It's like you can say something too. And so now women are switched being in this very sensual, super sexual place on a regular basis, because you got to think when we're being pursued or when we're in pursuit, because now we like the chase, right?
Right.
We don't know, like, what's wrong with you? Like, what you got going on?
Right.
And so I think that all those factors play into it, but I definitely think it's women, because you got to think we're in our 30s, right? Men are generally at their sexual peak now. Women are in our sexual peak, so we in our 40s and 50s. So year by year, ours is just increasing.
Right.
Around 30, between 30 and 40, I think that's when most men are like, all right, let me go ahead, dang, I'm wild. Let me go ahead and try to settle.
Slow down a little bit.
And we over here like, but I know what I want now. We become more in tune with ourselves, more knowledgeable of self, where men kind of got that basis in the 18 to 25. Now we're like, oh, this is what I like, this is what I don't like. I become more vested in our sexual exploration. Yeah,
and that's good. Now maybe we could ask the audience too to kind of see if we can get more people involved here. Maybe we can get the audience. I'm going back listening so maybe we get the audience involved. What do you guys think? And I agree with you, Free, because I think times have changed. I get lost track of time. try to play the nice guy, but but it's
what's the direct question?
Well, I mean, just with what we're talking about now, like who would you think have sex more or
Who's
first?
more sexually active?
Who's more sexually active? And who do you guys think are kicking it off first, males or females?
And this is something else. I think that the way society is now, I think men have such a fear of rejection now that they're not saying it. Like, it was a gentleman that told me, he was just like, well, my dad taught me if somebody wants it, they're gonna let me know. He was just like, I don't care if you're, completely in your raw essence of how you were brought into this world.
Right.
I ain't trying nothing. I ain't gonna ask. I ain't gonna incite anything. In which I do get that portion, because I understand that there are, a lot of people that have been, potentially falsely accused and things of that nature. So I appreciate people being safe about it. Right. But when it comes down to it, I think now it's on women almost to harness that relationship. Like, you're gonna have the guys that are gonna try to get it fast. That they're gonna still be there. But outside of that, I think it becomes a woman's thing. It becomes like almost like us having that. I feel like this is going to sound bad, but y'all know. I'm dating out here, okay? So I feel like having that predatory mind state, like, well, this can happen. Because we're going to think about that scenario 100 times before it comes up. We're going to think about when, where, how, this, what we need to have prepared. Okay, by the time you come in our house and we're cooking dinner, it's like, well, if it goes this way.
Yeah.
We can avoid that. So I really think it's women. See, nobody want to answer the question. They're like,
Yeah, like, I'm not about to tell on myself.
Right. It's important because, like, me and Lamoy, we are very much like brother and sister. And so we have these conversations about, like, dating in today's society. And again, holding each other accountable for what we stand for. And, like, I can talk to him as blatantly. I don't talk to my mama like that, but just like I'm talking to one of my homies, I can call him one. He'd be like, "Free, all right, you're tripping," or "Absolutely not," or "That's too early," or because a lot of times the other flip side is that people want to be like, "Oh, it's your body, you do what you want when you want to do it," and it's like, it sounds good at first until you're like, "Wait a minute."
Yeah, get out there.
I feel like, wait a minute, we're not trying to create stats here,
right?
But the L said men and women, generally speaking, are afraid of being rejected. I agree with that. Who do you think is pushing the topic of sex, subconsciously or directly?
Yeah. So are you asking who would push it first, or are you saying
who would push it first? Rather, not just who's pushing it, but who would push it first?
Right. Who are these people calling me? I've been getting phone calls like crazy.
You're doing a podcast. Tell them to tune in.
Right. Go ahead. We're not gonna
don't even incriminate yourself.
Yeah, but I agree with DL, because I even think, even in my times of when I'm single and going through my phase, it's like there's a lot of potential out there. There's a lot of great, beautiful people out there. You know what I'm saying? And I know I'm not a bad looking guy. I know I'm not the corniest either, but and even with the confidence that I do have, sometimes I think about that rejection that DL is talking about, and I think it's valid to bring that up as a good point, because perception would give off the idea that either both parties are super sexually active, or I guess there's just no clear defining definition or statistic of any source that I know of, that I don't think of. Maybe I got to do more research on that. But as far as who would be more active versus and who would act first, comparing the contrast between both male and female, I don't know. That's a good point. That's a really good point. Really good point, Free. That's I'm glad you brought that up, though. That's a good point. Maybe we can do something else on that later on. Do some research.
Where we're at, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think is the person that's going to fall in love first then, right? If we agree that both men and women, especially in our age range, are going to be, sexually active, maybe overly sexually active, who's transitioning it into love? Or is it not being transitioned into love because it's just now a physical thing because they haven't invested for it to be mental?
Right. And that would come off of that would be based off of one's background and their prior experiences. You know, because if you get that first initial experience and you get that itch, then you're not looking for love off back. You know, you're looking to have fun, right? I think with life experiences, you'll find love. And in fact, that's actually one of the things that the Napoleon Hill talked about in that Mysteries of Sex audio, or the study that we're doing. And he talked about how when, criminals tend to be free. You'll find more criminals becoming reformed because of this whole idea of love. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, we go through a lifetime of experimenting and testings and trials and different things that we go through in life. And somewhere along the line, people get tired of it, you know, and if all they're looking for is just a sense of being complete. So if we can find that, you know, after you've gone through a whole lifestyle of hell, then I think a good amount of men will actually do settle, or will settle, because of the act of love or the pursuit of love, you know. Did I say that right? I said that right.
Yeah. So Dio said that he guessed that women would fall in love first. I think that a lot of times my personal thought is that women, like we talked about last episode about how women were taught kind of to be nurturers, right? To be loving. So I think at an early age, we go into it with wanting to be loved. And men are pushed to sow their wild oats, don't settle down, blah, blah, blah. You can't technically bring the baby home, not saying you can't create a baby. Right. And so I think that, but so long of that, you put a decade of that mindset, right? And you're having these failed situations back and forth because somebody else is not ready, right? Or women are falling in love with potential. And not saying that men don't go through it, but I think it takes men longer to get the mindset of, oh, I kind of want to settle down. And now society is pushing, you know, all the city girls and these different things. Like, so, you know, you can leave some money on the nightstand and leave. Like, what doing. Yeah. And I think that we've become products of our own environment, right? We're not always wanting better. And then we get into the point of now people are ready to settle down and more women are being known to be cheaters.
Right.
And then it's just like, oh, I got my feelings hurt. I don't want to. Sometimes we have to realize we're reaping some of that stuff that we sowed. And so now we're not realizing why certain situations are happening, or we're acting in our lower selves, right? We're not acting in our highest vibration because we're not using this energy. We're using this energy maybe on people that are not worth it, right? Right. Not in love with. Like, I think we've actually gotten to the point where we're okay with, I don't gotta love you. Heck, I don't really gotta like you that much.
Right.
It's the point of we're not valuing sex the way sex is supposed to be valued.
Yeah.
And it's where do we go from here? How does this conversation lead into us really learning? Because if I'm not dealing with someone that I'm in love with, right? Can I truly manifest when I'm having sex? Can I really manifest? They said they wish we had a call-in show. How to make that happen? But how can I really manifest, right? So sexual manifestation is the act of, you know, when you're having sex, when you're at your finale, you're thinking about all the things that you're desiring, right? You're putting all your energy when you are at your climax on thinking of the things that you want, the things that you're needing, the actions that you're willing to put forth to get those things, and you're manifesting those. Now, a lot of times, if you're with a partner and you are in love, then y'all are manifesting some stuff together because there's some stuff y'all done talked about, stuff that y'all want. And so it becomes a common goal. But if I don't really like you like that, or maybe if I don't know what your spirit is like, now we get in spiritual ties. So how can I really manifest? Because I might wake up and I'm a different person.
Right.
So how do we triage that, Lemoyne?
Well, you guys may hear like a sound in the background, putting in a screen door over here.
I thought
So,
Lucy was cooking. I was like, oh, she cooking some of them good spices.
yeah. So I think that's a really good point. I think that's a really good point, which will lead me to my next point that I want to get to. The sexual act, I think, just looking into this, the sexual act is important to understand, because, okay, for a prime example, so we talked about the difference between the leverage that women may have before men, right? Based off of what society brings, traditionally, women typically, traditionally, right? We're not in the traditional ages anymore, but traditionally, women typically are the ones that's more on the conservative side when it comes to the pursuit of sex. Although, yes, they are sexually active, but and we I'm glad you brought it up like you did earlier, with the times that we're in now, how that's changed. But so by default, women tend to focus on more so on objectives, and fulfilling objectives. Like, of course, we know that there are more women, more successful women in today's time than there are men. Especially in the Black community, they're killing it right now in the women community, and so their focus has changed and it's in a different place rather than men, on the other hand, because traditionally we're taught to chase, we're taught to run after it, we're taught to go get it, and I think because, again, the misinformation that we do have about the powers of sex and how to use that energy, it causes most men to believe that, well, just because I have a sexual urge or what I believe to be a sexual urge, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's what that is. It just means that the body has conjured up enough of this energy, which is the point that I'm about to get into, which the body has actually conjured up enough of this energy or formulated enough of this energy. We'll talk about the science of that. And it is asking for your permission to execute or to expel that energy in a productive way, right? So what would that look like? Well, I did a little bit more research today. I had a little bit of time to get into some research, and this is what I came across, right? So this is called spiritual energy retention, right? Or you could also call semen retention, depending on how you want to use it. So what it looks like is that for a man, it takes 64 days for a male body to reproduce sperm, right? So we're going to get into this because there's a difference between sperm and semen, right? But check this out. So it takes 64 days for the male body to reproduce sperm, right? So around 24 to 28, it takes around 24 to 28 more days to be transferred and ejaculated, right? So if we're talking about planning to have a child, then this is the process that's been proven to be one of the top ways that, you may want to consider if you're looking at trying to have a child, because this is how the body works, right? So check this out. Sperm and semen are two different things. Sperm are the reproductive swimmers, the little tadpoles, right? On a mission, that's on a mission. Semen is the substance or fluid that carries the sperm, right? So there's a difference, right? So check this out. So it's been studied that it takes around 80 drops of blood to create a single drop of semen, which is the fluid that carries the sperm, right? So the more you ejaculate or the more that you have sex or, have those sexual experiences, the lower your blood count lowers, right? And yeah, so if you're overly sexed, check your blood count. You know what I'm saying? Check your blood count. But we talked about this because, again, we're not putting a disclaimer out there. We're not sex professionals, and we're not telling you guys run out there and go have sex. That's not the objective here in this conversation about sex here. We just understand that sex has, in the Black community, has been something that's been very, very hard to discuss amongst our own people. So this is just some general information, an educational course, if you want to consider it that. Just a discussion of that. You know what I'm saying? A discussion. Right. Where we're just talking about general information about sex and how to transmutate energy from the experience to actual manifesting from the urges and that energy, right? So boom. So it's been studied. Let me say that part again. It's been studied that it takes around 80 drops of blood to create a single drop of semen. So the more you ejaculate or the more sex that you have, the lower your blood count. You know what I'm saying? If you follow this energy retention strategy, you're guaranteed to, again, I said this in the beginning, in-depth thought process, higher frequencies, higher level of imaginations, courage, strength, and higher IQ. You have higher pheromones. Your pheromone level increases tremendously, right? Muscle mass. If you're drinking a lot of water and you're using this semen retention or sexual spiritual retention strategy, muscle mass becomes a thing, because typically the body will begin to try to work itself back into its natural state if you're eating right in combination with this strategy, right? Better hair texture. Your hair begins to grow a little bit better. You have longer stamina. And this also brought me to the fact that masturbation, we were talking about being overly sex. If you're addicted to pornography, right? Pornography is another thing that actually just kills the brain. If you're overly, indulging in pornography, right? So that addiction is an equivalent to drugs and alcohol. It triggers the reward system. And when the reward system is triggered, what ends up happening is the brain begins to swell, right? When the brain swell, it's that in itself is equivalent to like a soft concussion. You know what I'm saying? So when the brain swells, it affects what did I put here? Because I got to go back. I'm trying to go without my notes. But when the brain swells, it triggers the I think it's called the axons. The axon. Let me get it out. Free, don't laugh.
No, I wasn't even laughing at you. I'm sorry, I was laughing at you.
Let me get it out. Free, don't laugh. So listen. So when the axons, y'all know I'm a nerd. I nerd up on this stuff. So when the axon is actually the thing that connects to the neurons. The neurons are what connects when we retain something. You know what I'm saying? So once something happens in our life, that memory, that snapshot takes place. Remember, we talked about the snapshot. Refractory period, right? So when we go through our refractory period and the mind takes a snapshot of that thing, whether it comes from fear, whether it comes from a highly desired person or situation, goal, future, whatever that comes from, neurons trigger. You know what I'm saying? When neurons connect, not trigger, but neurons connect. And every time a neuron connect, is a new memory that's formed. You see what I'm saying? So if your addiction to pornography is like crazy high, then it affects that entire system and how the mind is supposed to naturally connect with itself, communicate throughout, and also respond to the body. You know what I mean? So we may feel a lot sluggish after we go through, highly cases of just masturbating, you know what I'm saying? It's on a regular because of the addiction. You know what I mean? So there has to be some kind of, and I hate to say it like this, but if you're looking at it from a form of manifesting, because a lot of this stems off of how do we manifest things, the different sides of manifestation. That's why we want to do the sexual transmutation, right? It's a form of manifestation. So we want to look at it from that perspective. Then from that perspective, you got to have some balance with an objective. You know what I'm saying? Right. So you just can't just be beating your drum, boom, 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 with no objective. You know what I'm saying? And you got to have an objective. And not, again, fellas, we men. And look, we're men. So we know. You know what I'm saying? I ain't looking down on nobody because we men. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, what I'm saying is we have to be able to find a balance and the education, the knowledge to be able to understand, like, whatever it is that I'm doing, I have to be able to I need to be aware of what kind of backlash can I get from this? What's going to happen on the back end? You know what I'm saying? Could this be something good if I channel it into something good? What are the goods and the bads about it? You know what I'm saying? And I know I gave a lot right there, but, that's just, I want to leave it right there for the moment before I drown you guys out.
Well, I'm going to give y'all the quick synopsis of everything he just said. I was trying to add a slide, but it was being difficult. So the rundown, y'all. With all the things he said, well, not a slide, but you know what I'm saying? I was trying to add another scroll.
Oh, okay.
Y'all, you gotta call me out, y'all. I found this thing that was just like the top 7 things, the top greatest things about transmutating sexual energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was like the benefits. And the first one, of course, like we said, is increasing your creative energy, being more enthusiastic about life, more mental stamina. And a lot of times mental stamina is why we can't always research what we know, right? Even like think about politics, right? Even though it's sidebar, you know, think about these candidates and we're like, oh, I'm gonna look them up. And then we're like, damn, I'm so tired. I don't even want to look them up. Because we don't have no stamina. We don't have the mental stamina to look at anything long term outside of social media. So those distractions, okay? So you get more mental stamina. You also have more time. And for those that are wanting, you know, the other benefits of it, when you think about the sexual benefits of it, you'll last longer in bed. You have greater orgasms, but also to wrap it up, you'll be more assertive and dominant in the area in which you need to be. So some of us that can be timid, and you can be an outgoing person and be timid, you know, potentially in the business realm or those things. You see those people that are just like, oh, you're like, sometimes, you know, you might have somebody that's nice, nasty, and you love when they talk or get somebody together because, you know, they're going to do it in such a nice way. Or people that are just really like, okay, so no, I'm not going to do that, but this is what I am. And you just like, oh, they glided through that conversation that could have been, you know, very rough or very abrasive with ease. And it's because they have learned how to be assertive because they're channeling this. And so many of them don't even realize it. Like even down to, I gave the scenario of, think when, say, you know, you want to do something after work, okay? Maybe you got a text or a call in the middle of the day, and you're just like, bam, I'm ready for this evening. When you think about how the rest of your day flew by, it's because you're then like using this energy because you know, hey, I can't leave work, but I got 5 hours so I can get to where I want to be. Generally, you're the most productive that you have ever been. Because now your mind, things that might stop you to do, you're coming up with resolutions. Friends come to you with problems. You're like, look, you should try A, B, C, and D, because you're like, hey, I don't have time for this. I'm trying to get to where I'm trying to go. And so a lot of times we start maneuvering through this energy without even knowing it.
That's true. That's true. So again, like, you know, that's why I say women have leverage, man. Women have leverage. If they go off of the traditional system, they have leverage by default. You know, I find it that men are a lot more unorganized. I know I am. And I'm going through my phase of having to be more organized, you know. But now it's like, you know, I talked about how some people by default, they're born with this gift, this ability. Like you were talking about the energy that you have. Like you just Free, y'all, for people that don't know, Free has a lot of energy. You know what I'm saying? When she get to going, she's like, and I'm just like, okay.
All right, say that one more time, Free, because I didn't catch that last part.
Yeah. So it's like, and I don't suppress that. I don't push it away. I don't, you know what I'm saying? And I think that's a gift. That's a beautiful gift. And I feel like for anybody that has that kind of energy, again, if you can channel that, it can become a beautiful thing. You can become the most successful person in the world, right? But so my thing was, if you look at when it comes to people with that energy, some people are actually born with it. They're geniuses by default. They're born into that. So by default, they don't have any sexual urges. And you have full grown men out here that's strictly career driven. They don't look to the left or look to the right. It's just setting the objective and go, you know. And I shared a story with one of my friends, my daughter, one of her friends that she has is a guy friend, and how he's that type of guy. He's I think like 19 or maybe 20, going off to college, wants to be a surgeon. He's not thinking about sex. He's not having sex. He doesn't even have a girlfriend, never had a girlfriend. Like his main objective is, I am going to become a surgeon. I'm going to work for celebrities, supermodels, and whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like his objective is set. And his goal is now like, yo, set your speed and just go. You know what I mean? But for those that are at a disadvantage, it doesn't mean that we can't attain that. It just means that we have to tap in. It means that we're going to have to sacrifice and let go of a lot of things that's been the norm for us. So if we're the type of people that's typically on the go, doing a whole bunch of nothing, that's not accomplishing, that's not getting you to the next phase in life or preparing you for that at least, then if you're addicted to just being busy for nothing, then yeah, there's going to be some breaking that's going to have to take place, and it all even reflects the type of people that you're around. All of that stuff plays a part, it all plays a part. So again, we can actually obtain the same powers. Definitely. Purity. That's why purity is being pure. Is not just a religious view. You know what I mean? Where they're saying, look, don't have sex until you get married. There's reasons for that. Look at the animal kingdom. And I was sharing this with my sister Key last night. We were up late talking last night, and I was sharing this with her last night. Like, yo, I feel like if the ant colony is probably like the closest. The ant, just look at nature, period. Pure nature is the closest thing to the nature of God that we have left on earth. You know what I'm saying? So the more and more the people are destroying nature, the further and further we're getting away from who God really is. You know what I'm saying? So my thing is this: if you look at the ant colony, I love watching and learning about the ant colony. It's a beautiful thing, and how every ant has its role. You have your soldier ants, so you got the worker ants, and then you have the queen, and you have the protector ants that protects the queen, and how everybody has their role, and how even like cleanliness, how that plays a part in an ant colony, because ants die along the way within the tunnels. So you have the worker ants that expel the dead ants into a designated area. You know what I'm saying? So like ants, like I was sharing with Key, ants have a courageous life. They serve three purposes: to work, communicate, and protect. You know what I mean? They work, communicate, and protect, right? You look at any other nature of any kind of animal or being that's out there, you will see for yourself like how we are to live, and watch how they interact with each other. You'll see for yourself how we are to react and interact with each other here on earth. You know what I'm saying? Because we're made in the image of God, right? And if you believe that, then you also have to believe that we have dominion over all things. So if we have dominion and the animals are getting it right, they're not having sex all year round. They have a mating season. They have a time of the year where they slow down and they reproduce. You know what I'm saying? The ant colony understands the process of succession and recession. Right, when the storm come and tornadoes happen and earthquakes, and tsunamis and all of that stuff. When those things happen, ants are washed away. You know what I'm saying? But because of their very nature, they understand that process and they embrace that. So what happens? Boom, they quickly jump in place. And they're in a phase of recession at that time, but they quickly jump in place to begin building again, right? And then as things begin to grow back into place and perspective, then now we're back into a place of succession. You know what I'm saying? And that's how life is. It happens to us as human beings. So again, following the nature of the animal kingdom is going to be the closest thing to understanding the nature of God and who He is. If He can provide
creating, what was the third thing?
With ants. They're created to work, communicate, and protect.
Okay.
That's their purpose. Sole purpose. Work, communicate, protect. It's a courageous life. You know what I'm saying? Courageous life. That's what I call it. Ant's life is a courageous life. You know what I mean? So yeah, but again, like if we have to be able to find balance in all things. And if we're not looking for balance, then we're going to live this so-called free world or this free life where sex reigns and we suppress our own selves in our pursuit of sex instead of taking all of that energy. You know what I'm saying? How do you think ants are able to create these big colonies into the hills, miles and miles deep? You know what I'm saying? Like they have their season again where they retract from the sexual experiences and they're constantly just building and building and building. You know what I mean? So if we tap into all of that, put our goals and our objectives first, we can't lose. We can't lose. You know what I'm saying? We can't lose. So that was a lot. That was a lot.
But it was good. It was good meat and potatoes. Your balance is not suppressing yourself, chasing the need or the want for sex, because it can't be your life. And then you'll tell when you're out of control when you can't focus without it.
Right.
You said when you create those addictions, if you somebody you got to go on your lunch break and go handle something. At first, we're like, oh, you just have a high drive, but okay, it might get to the point where you're prohibiting your own growth,
right,
your own potential. You're hindering yourself.
right.
So, like you said, working through that balance, creating that balance, and that work, communicate, and protect.
Yeah,
it's important because, like, even when you just think about life, right? And as parents, how we have to put self on the back burner. We can always live in that space of wanting or yearning for something because we got other things because we're prioritizing. So when you start prioritizing yourself, I think that's a lot of the stuff that we don't balance because we're not prioritizing ourselves. Sometimes we're prioritizing other people's needs.
Yeah.
And that becomes part of it. Now I have DL, our brother DL. Thank you for rocking out. You've been giving us
with us.
Questions. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna see where we're gonna go. We're gonna have to have this other type of build, okay?
Hey, well, and let me add something real quick too. Free shout out to my doctor, Dr. Arnold McClendon. He's on board. He's checking us out. And listen, and if you guys don't know, he's also into men's health, talking about sex in the men's health and the human body, and we're gonna have to get him on. We may need to lock him in for next weekend.
Okay, we have to put him in. Oh, but check this though. So they say that with transmutating energy, or even with semen retention, that is supposed to essentially help with ED. Now I ain't no doctor for certain, but that is
he would be the guy to talk to. He'd be the guy to talk to when it comes to that.
People don't talk about it, but see, I also had the conversation that a lot of times we don't talk about women's health in the way of enjoyment of sex. Right? We think about, does it not work? Not as far as, because a lot of times women are not obtaining these orgasms or having the sensation that men have, and so a lot of times that creates the yearning for us or the unrelentless, like I gotta have it, where we become just as equal to men in the pursuit. That's a whole other conversation, y'all.
So can we find a female sex specialist?
All right.
I'm not talking about like, an exhibitionist or anything like that. I'm talking about like somebody like a medical professional. Need somebody qualified.
There are sexologists that, yes, they have, they might have counseling degrees and that might be their area of expertise, but it's a little bit different when you get someone in the medical field because they can kind of give the underlining medical causes for things. Like sometimes it's the need for pelvic floor therapy. It's the need for maybe the way you were created, maybe something's not in the correct place. So maybe it's just a different process for you. But that's something a lot of times women are not told to investigate. We're just like, oh, we're going to take what's given until we get a little older and we find out something or somebody put us on the game, and then we're like, wait a minute, this can do something else. I found out something new. So DL said, Free, since you have a lot of energy, do you ever get mad when your body is tired and your brain is still running at full speed, thus you don't get proper rest? Every freaking day. Lemoy can say I had this conversation more times than not, and I know he's like, Free, if you don't get it together. For me, it was a lot of things that I noticed with it. So especially with my mind going so fast, when I started gaining weight, like I started doing sedentary jobs, and then it made it twice as bad because I'm physically tired, and now mentally my mind is still like, no, I want to do 25 different things. And then when you're not getting the rest, then your mind can't focus because now you're having brain fog. And yes, I find it very difficult, but I also realized that I had to take a step back from how sexually driven I was. And in the pursuit, because we can be honest, you know what I'm saying? Y'all up here, y'all know my business now. You know what I'm saying? All right, Rita. All right. And why I don't tell her, details of, things that go on per se. We've had to have those conversations like, well, Rita, you just seem like you really focused in really heavily, whether it be on the dating side or this, like, are you getting these other things done? I'm over here like, yeah, I got that done earlier today,
Right.
I find myself, when I can get myself to a point of not indulging as much, I am more productive. Versus, kind of like the Pringles thing. Once you pop, the fun don't stop. You just kind of like, hey, over here. All right. Hey. Right. And so I do find it is difficult with having such a high thought process. But this is something I realized. So my dad, He was my whole life. He was a pastor. He also worked at Wake Tech Community College. He retired. He was on dialysis. He became a double amputee, and he still pastored up until the time he passed. What I learned from that and stuff that I learned later on, since like I said, we family now. We're gonna talk. My dad at an early age was not able to always perform because he has sugar diabetes. And you would never know because he was in the gym 2 times a day, right? So what I had to realize, like my dad, for me, for the longest, I was like, he's the smartest man I ever know. Like I've never seen someone get 3 hours of sleep and be able to work a 18-hour day. He was never at a place where he didn't know an answer, he couldn't research. He was a researcher. So I tell him more frequently, he kind of reminds me of my dad the way he's like, oh, that was good. Let me go research it. My dad was the one that got the strong concordance. It's like, oh, I can lie to you, but don't believe me. Go look it up in the Bible. And so he would, at a young age, have me looking. I'm like, I don't want to translate this from the Elizabethan, from Hebrew, the Greek, the English. I don't want to do this. Now I appreciate it because I know how to go get an answer. But I say all that to say, let me get to the meat and potatoes of what I'm saying. My dad became a double amputee probably in 2010. Okay, he became a double amputee. This man, as a double amputee, still on dialysis, got 2 doctorate degrees. So it is truly a testament to how you can transmute energy. Because somebody that is now wheelchair bound, you know, don't have legs, they can't fully do everything by themselves, able to mentally go through 2 doctoral programs. Which, like I'm talking about like a 4.0 GPA, like this ain't give me something else to do. Like, and my dad was a funny person, but literally, you know, I have droves of friends, and all my friends, like my dad will pull us all on the couch, like, let's talk. What's going on? Like, you're not reaching your potential. Stop being lazy. And I was like, first of all, even when I had Madison, he'd be like, okay, so why we not in grad school? I'm like, well, I started, but I stopped because it was too much. But you can talk on the phone to your friends. Oh, you can do some work. And so really realizing and not stifling yourself, because so many of us stifle our own selves with our own problems being in our head. So realizing how to not stay in that place of being in your head about it, but being able to say, look, I'm going to do this. And what helps me too, I'll write out a list. If I got something in my head and I can't stop, I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I'll write it. I'll write really quick notes, and then I'll try to see how much I can get done the next day. And to me, that gets me at a point where now I feel some satisfaction, because maybe I had 20 things on the list and maybe I only did 8, but tomorrow I'll tackle some more, because then I'm being true to myself and trying to work for myself. Because just like we can clock into the clock for an employer, if you don't come home and clock in for yourself, you're doing yourself a service. Shout out to Rena, who told us this quote a long time ago, that if you can clock into somebody else's business, you can work for yourself. And if you're not, like, what are you doing that for? Are you really happy? You know, we talk to the kids, that's mandatory. You know, well, good parenting, you're gonna do what you got to do. But if you can't take a little bit of time, even like they say, take the 10 minutes for yourself to even do some self-reflecting, or just do some, like, this is my 10 minutes of quiet time. So many of us don't do it, so we feel stuck. We feel like we have this pit of anger or aggression, and all of that goes into it. So until we really service ourselves correctly, we shouldn't be servicing or dealing with anybody else.
And shout out to Rena. You know, she goes by RB Anthem on Facebook. And she's really been somebody that's really been on my side, like through my journeys and stuff. And you know, we definitely have to, we got some work to do. So prayers up for her family. I reached out to her the other day to catch up, because we haven't spoken in a few weeks. And I think one of her uncles had just passed. So prayers up to her family. So definitely keeping them lifted and encouraged. But to respond also with DL Davis, one thing that I do, like when I go through those times when I can't rest like that, I find it that I'm very tense. I'm like super tensed up. It's kind of like even when I'm drawn, I'm getting blood drawn from the doctor. Like I went to the doctor this past week, right? And with this week, and Dr. McClendon, and he was checking my blood pressure. So he had me hold my arm out, you know, and he was like, just relax. You know what I mean? Just relax your arm. And it's hard sometimes to just let go and just breathe. You know what I mean? Because I'm just I'm so active, and I always have something going on. So it's hard to just let go of anything and just breathe. You know, so one thing that I realized that I started doing, which actually helps me sleep at night, is while I'm laying in bed, and I share this with a few people to see if it works, and they say it works for them. So maybe this might help somebody else out. But as I'm laying in bed and I'm laying on my back, let's say if I'm laying on my back, for an example, on my side, you know, that's pretty much how I typically sleep for the most part. So if I'm laying on my back, for an example, and I'm tense, I have a lot going on in my mind, I use meditation techniques. You know, I use breathing techniques that comes from meditation, right? And as I'm inhaling and I'm exhaling, as I exhale, I have to feel myself sink more and more into the bed. You know what I'm saying? So inhale, and as I exhale, I'm sinking more and more into the bed. And I would do that until I can't sink anymore. And then I hold that breathing pattern. You know what I'm saying? And as long as I know that I'm there, then by the time I get to that place where I can't sink anymore, then I'm at my place of rest mentally and physically. You know what I'm saying? And then it's not until that point to where I could actually get me some good rest or even just go fall asleep, period. You know what I'm saying? So definitely try that out, you guys, and let me know if it helps. I know it helps me out. Inhale, breathing techniques, you know, study some meditation, you know, inhale in the nose, exhale out the mouth. You know what I'm saying? We know the stomach motions with stuff like that, sinking into, right, DL, what he say? Sinking into the good place. There you go. Thank you. He's such a poet. He's a dope poet too, by the way. Yeah. So you're sinking into a good place. I got to use that, brother. Thank you. But you're sinking into a good place. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, my mom be like, so we sinking? Are we in the sunken place? You know what? But in all honesty, I do understand what you're saying. I got to the point, and I even had my daughter to the point, we listen to ocean music. Right? Something about the crash of the waves that will kind of force your body to kind of like level out and to breathe. And literally I can put it on and she'll be sleeping about 5 minutes. Or because it makes you be quiet. You want to hear it. You hear the crash of the wave. And also I used to do jazz music for her. Like if it's during the day and I need her to take a nap and it's not like a full night's sleep, I would put jazz music on. It'd be so melodic and she just drift into sleep very peacefully. I do want to say one more thing. So I had a watch party going on. I guess I had two at the same time. So I missed some comments that were given. My sister Courtney had said when we were talking, and more so in the beginning of the conversation, maybe about 15 minutes ago, who knows what we were talking about at the time. She had kind of commented in and she was saying that she thinks that women know what they want and what they want from something and they proceed accordingly.
Right.
And I think that also goes into channeling that energy because it's not an indecisive feeling. Right. Whereas men sometimes we fall into something.
Yeah.
Versus I feel like it becomes a point of playing checkers and chess.
Yeah.
When we decide to deal with someone, a lot of times it is us deciding to play chess.
Yeah.
Especially if it's somebody that's like, oh, I don't want anything. We're like, oh, okay. Or either we're going to strategically start that whole prey type of action. So I know that part, but I just wanted because like I said, they had kind of put some comments up here and I didn't want to, X out anyone's comments. I think this is a good bill, Lamoy. I think that it's important for us to normalize the conversation of sex because so many people don't want to talk about it. It's not taboo. It's not like we're saying, oh, well, you like this way and that way. No, we're not talking about the meat and potatoes of exactly what you like. We're talking about the point of using that energy, harnessing it for greatness and not ever have sex. Enjoy yourself safely. You know what I'm saying? We hope that you do it with someone that you feel like you can manifest with so that you can do everything that your heart desires, but just knowing the gravity of what it is that you are dealing with and why. Our brother Dio said he does think that women are more strategic than men.
They are more strategic. Yeah.
I think that sometimes it takes a lot for us to get there when it comes because again, we are receivers. So as receivers, a lot of times we come from a stance of submissiveness at times. But once we have to flip and become the aggressor, then it changes. Sorry, my child caught my door with her sunglass thing. Get out. I love you. Get out. Thank you. Speak.
Yeah. So
you try to break in my door?
Yeah. It's her house too.
I had some of my family members here who I love dearly, and so they are having a whole ball out there. And so when she was just like, "Yeah, I just use my sunglasses."
Okay.
What you learning at school?
Yeah.
But I think that it's important to understand the stance and not being manipulative when it comes to sex, being intentional and knowing what it is you want and don't want so that everyone is on the same playing field. Because we can't grow if we are at a point of being unequal, especially when we talk about relationships and even how that all transitions over. When you're unequally yoked, you're going to come up with the same result.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And remember, we talked about this when we had our interview. When you interviewed me, and I was talking about relationships and being able to go through you face demons together. You know what I'm saying? And
battle demons with you.
You gotta be able, right? Can I battle demons with you? And this is also a reflection of what happens spiritually. We talked about last week, and just the gist of it is, you know, when we have faith in something, if I have faith in you, you have faith in me, then that means that we just walk. If I believe in you, let's not even just jump to the gun, right? If I believe in you and you believe in me, then we've just walked into the first step of spirituality. You know what I'm saying? And what happens from there is with what's spiritual comes spiritual attacks. So if we've never experienced anything from the spiritual realm or ever been aware of what happens, we can live our entire life without ever acknowledging anything that happens spiritually. You know what I'm saying? So if that's the case, then when testing comes, because of that first step that we took, which was the belief or faith that we either had in the person, place, or thing, then what happens? We crumble. You know what I mean? We crumble. And, you know, and so if we're not aware of what happens then like a lot of the times we tend to fall off a lot sooner than later. And, you know, and all of that stuff plays a part, man. All of it plays a part. So, you know, this was a good bill, Free. This was a really good bill. You know, I didn't feel rushed either. Last time it was a little bit rushed because, you know, timing, and I knew we had a lot to go over.
You have a photo shoot to do afterwards. Shout out to you. I don't know. Lamoy has his own photography.
True.
Look, okay, so Lamoy, first off, Lamoy did my birthday. Photo shoot. Shout out to Lamoy because they were dope. And my daughter took it over. You know, she felt like it was her photo shoot. But, you know what I'm saying, just the fact of him, you know, again, more talking about how I'm extra, y'all. I done brought a whole rug to the little park area, okay? I done brought a whole pink flowy rug. I done brought a guitar. We had rose petals.
Everything.
It changed, but Lamoy literally rolled with the punches. It was like, all right, Free. I had vinyl records out there. We had a ball, but to just see that growth, to see him doing photo shoots and even down to like promotional videos, the video edits and just y'all, this brother working. And I mean, down to with my daughter's business, he did like a video commercial for her with her bracelet bundles that she was doing. And so and let's not forget the clothing line, Picturesque.
Urban store.
I'm on the jackets on right now. It's the Got Purpose. That's my
okay.
You ain't on the Got Purpose thing on your
I did. This is an old draft of a design. Yeah, you don't have one of these. These official.
I'm trying to move the camera for you. Like we're in two separate locations, y'all.
Yeah, I know. But now this exclusive right here's one of a kind right here. So yeah. But not getting a lot done, Free. I appreciate that.
I mean, your hard work, you know, making that transition from corporate world to full entrepreneurship. I'm definitely overly proud of you. And
thank you.
You know, keep pushing. I mean, it's gonna all be worth it. It's going to all be worth it. This was a great deal, though.
It's a beautiful thing, and I'm going to say one thing on that because I try not to put too much out there too soon. But there's one thing that I realized in my journey. The more you have to explain yourself to people, the more you'll find yourself talking yourself out of your own blessing. You know what I'm saying? You will talk yourself out of your own drive because over time it's a discouraging thing when you're constantly trying to explain your plans to people that can't quite see it until it's done, you know? So that repetitive like approach where, yeah, I think, I want to share this with my loved ones, and I want to share this with, this person or that person. And it's kind of like every time you share it with somebody, it's like you got to start over from the top, take it from the top, and you got to work your way back down again. You know what I'm saying? And then it's always something either where the person is just like, well, I don't think so, because they're all about security. Okay, granted. And that's a great thing, and I can't take away from that. But for other people, for dreamers, they're looking at opportunities and plans and systems and, how do we implement all of these things into one? But everybody doesn't see that because they're not aware of what's out there that we could actually tap into that could actually give us leverage. So there's a lot going on, and I don't speak on that much. In fact, a lot of people that's super close, completely oblivious to a lot right now. But
I'm sorry, I got excited.
You're good. It's intentional, and that's fine.
You over here like. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So, but no, it's fine. It's totally fine. But again, I just think that be aware of how many times, put a cap on how many times you're willing to explain yourself and your endeavors. Put it that way. If I can give y'all a nugget to take away from this, put a cap on how many times you're willing to explain yourself to try to convince certain people. You know what I'm saying? After that cap is done, you've reached your capacity. Just go. You know what I mean? Just go. So yeah. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now, man. It's pretty cool. But
take it down. Like, put a cap on how many times you explain yourself to people.
Yeah. Absolutely. Good stuff right there. Free. Hey, he be dropping gems on me. You know what I'm talking about? He be dropping gems on me. You know what I mean? So yeah, man. But nah, it's a journey, man. It's pretty cool. But this was a good build. Thank you, Free, for sharing your poetry piece at the beginning. And just this build, like, how we get down. We talk about real stuff. Yeah, So and everybody else, DL Davis, Dr. Arnold McClendon, my doctor. Shout out to all the Black doctors out there. If you're still watching, I'm reaching out to you for next week. Free, what do you think?
About what?
Next, we're having him on as a guest next week.
It definitely works.
What's going on next week?
Let me get it together. If it works with his schedule, I think it'll be awesome. I think that
what's next Saturday?
You
got something going on?
A baby shower and a birthday.
Oh, okay, that's cool. I don't have anything planned.
Who want to do stuff without me, y'all? Y'all see how this go? No, I'm just playing.
Hey, the vision don't sleep.
We're all every weekend, so Free. Like, it's a lot for me to like clear my schedule. It's been nice somewhat, but like I'm used to being on the go, so it's definitely forcing me to spend more time at home and to do some research and to settle down. So I'm very appreciative for it. But I definitely think that next week would be good if his schedule, permits. Either way, we'll bring something good to y'all, okay? Yeah, y'all know we always gonna come with something good so that we can talk. We love y'all being interactive, so we definitely thank y'all for that because it's stuff that we have to talk about. We're for millennials. That's our whole purpose. Our whole purpose is to create a space, an educational space for millennials. So you have questions, comments, concerns, you got a topic you want to talk about, just slide in our inbox, okay? Make sure you movement, Facebook. It is the Kool Spot on Facebook, IG as well, YouTube. It is the Kool Spot NC. We also have the Koolspot.com. Also, make sure that you support our Patreon. It is patreon.com/Kool Spot. The Kool Spot crew is Lamoy Destino on Facebook, Free the Poet NC on Facebook and Instagram, and my personal Facebook page is Miss Frida Free. So please make sure that you follow us. We'll follow you back. Let's support one another. If we know of events in the community going on, please let us know. We like to come out. I got a whole child that's young. So we'll be okay. Madison will be in tow. You'll hear a little more call it Baby Magic. We'll be there. Okay?
Yeah.
Bracelets, okay, guys? Okay, just okay.
Yeah.
But we just look forward to continuing to build, and I don't have nothing else. You got anything else, Lamoy?
We're also open as the economy, everything opens back up. Yeah, we are looking to connect with people that have events that's coming up. So we can actually
as well.
Yeah, we're going to be doing. Yeah, we'll come to you and broadcast your event, especially if it's dealing with the arts. You know what I mean? We really want to try to highlight and a lot more spoken word and poetry events, stuff like that. Anything educational, we definitely want to go there and highlight, and we'll live stream. We plan it right. We'll live stream the Kool Spot event podcast show as your show. You know what I mean? And we'll do interviews and everything, so that's something else that's up and coming. Of course, definitely check out a Storyteller's Promotions. You guys see the opener that we use here for the Kool Spot with the glass shatters and freezes and all that cool graphic stuff. All of that's a part of a Storyteller's Promotion. You know what I'm saying? And these are the things that I've been working on for a long, long time. A lot of blood, sweat, and tears. It's all self-taught. There's no graphic diploma or degree behind me. It's all self-taught. It's all by purity, talent, my love and my passion for it, So that, of course, and of course, Picturesque Urban Store. Check that out, picturesqueurban.store. And that'll take you straight to my website, Shopify store, merchant account. You guys could actually e-commerce account. You guys could actually put your purchases in directly from the site. Holiday season's coming up, so we're going to have some special deals going on. It's going to be pretty cool, man. Just doing a lot. And I'm appreciative. Again, I'm a hermit in this season. And, I have friends that be like, man, you just always in the house. You just always working on something. Like, you don't have time. What do you do? I'm like, look, like right now, I don't feel like I'm where I want to be, to the point where I have that kind of free time to just be out here running around. You know what I mean? I don't have that right now, and I'm okay with that. And I think that's just part of the process. So if you're looking at building legacy, it's good to, for one, spend that time with yourself to learn more about yourself. That's one, and that's very, very important. So you get the opportunity to face your own demons all by yourself with your mentor, people that you have on your side that has your back. You know what I'm saying? And once you get to that point where you get started, then you start working on your objectives and your plans, because the feeling that you have when you're looking at a timeline and a particular amount of money you want to make by that end of that timeline, and that timeline, it reaches its ends, and that money didn't show up. There's a difference in the way that it feels physically than what you feel mentally. It's two different feelings. Two totally different feelings. You know what I mean? And that's a whole beast in itself that you have to face. So there's a lot that comes with it. I implore you guys, jump in and support. I know y'all like me as a person. Hopefully you guys like me even more as a businessman. You know what I'm saying? And support, man. Support. That's what we do it for. We do it to uplift, encourage, inspire. We're going to be getting into some more. We're going to be getting into officially doing the lectures here soon. So be on the lookout of that. Yeah, so got that time right now. So we're gonna get to do that. But so yeah, that's pretty much about it, Free.
I got two more things real quick.
Okay.
Domestic violence hotline number 800-799-7233. You know someone that needs it. If you need it, you just need to talk to someone. You're not sure if you fall in that category, please call. Okay. Second thing is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Ladies, please check yourself. If you find anything that feels like a lump, even if you just think it's just dense tissue, please get it checked out. It is a real thing, and early detection can save your life, okay? I think most of us at this point know someone affected by it, somebody very close to me is currently dealing with that battle, but, we've already claimed it. She about to see the other side of this, I have big plans for her life, and I'm blessed to be attached to her. So I'm just like, God, that's my babe. So let's support those going through those journeys as well, and promote having regular conversations about, are you getting checked? Are you self-checking in the shower? Men too. I remember we talked about on that show about the check that you can do with your male parts as well. Let's make sure that we're checking ourselves, we're having conversations about it, and we're not shying away from it. And if somebody tells you, hey, I think something's not right, encourage them to go get it checked out. Okay.
Yep. Now, real quick too, if we can get Dr. McClendon on for next weekend, it's going to be a strictly PowerPoint presentation. All right. So it's going to be a PowerPoint presentation that you guys can follow. Definitely, I promise you, if you are a man and you're over 35, then this is something that you need to tune into. You need to tune into. If you're over 35, please tune in, and I'll reach out to him to see if we can confirm next Saturday. If so, that'd be great. We're going to talk about men's health, strictly PowerPoint. We're going to give y'all's graphs. It's going to be a big graphic for the mature crowd only. So, definitely. Sharita, what she would put up there? You see her?
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, I love you for the domestic violence number. Thank you. Yeah. And the other Sharita says it's important to know your own time, seasons, cycles, etc. Others won't know or see it, but just like no one sees the caterpillar turn into a butterfly while in the cocoon, do your thing, Lamoy, and as always, enjoy, Sharita.
Thank you. That's my sister. I've known her for some years now. Thank you, Sarita. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Now, hey, go check out the website now. Picturesque Urban Store. We had the link on Facebook and all that. Check us out. Like it, subscribe it, share with a friend, and thank you again, Sarita, from the heart. I appreciate you. Appreciate you, sis. Good to see you again too. So that's it, Free. I'm done.
Thank y'all. Well, I think when they say when you say all you know it's time to go. I got that from church, but that's some real stuff. Like, no, goodbye. So we'll check y'all next time. Thank y'all for rocking out with the Kool Spot crew, and we'll see you next time.